I did a game jam with a friend. That's right, I have friends. That friend was
JP or Jean-Pierre. I worked on Walk in the Woods, and I was the artist for the game.
JP is an artist who I have worked with before, and I was really happy to get a chance to do that again. I approached JP at the last minute about teaming up with me during the 2021 GMTK Game Jam. This game jam was run by Mark Brown, the guy behind Game Maker's Toolkit. If you haven't already, go check out his channel. Quick recap, what is a game jam? It is where people get together to make a very simple game in a very short time around a very interesting theme. The theme of the jam was joined together. First up, before we dive into making the game, we gotta know what we want to make before we can make it. That means it's brainstorming time. What does it mean to be joined together? Do things have to be literally joined together, or figuratively? Right off the bat, one thing I did not want to do was make a game where you control two characters simultaneously. I had already done that in a previous game I made. One game that JP brought up was Florence. This was a WarioWare-like puzzle game about navigating a romantic relationship. That led to the idea of exploring what it means to be figuratively joined together in a relationship. Somehow, that led to a PT-inspired looping horror game about a kid and her dog who get separated in the woods. I wish I could tell you how we got there, but I honestly don't remember. On the plus side, it led to some amazing art from JP.
I guess in the beginning, I did have a lot of like references and whatnot, and like I used Pinterest for references, so I made like boards for like forests and rocks and whatnot. So I was looking at those kinds of references. I went on Google to look at references, what kind of trees, and then also just trying to find like other artists or other illustrators that made like forest art, like trees specifically and whatnot, and bushes, to see how they stylized it. Because I personally would just try to paint it semi-realistically, so it'd be very like full of brush strokes and whatnot. But I knew that for this game I needed to simplify things. So looking at all these other artists, I was like, oh, okay, so they just, added like curves on the trees and simplified it, so it's just like in a way like a bush, or like, like a fluff, sort of like a cloud as a tree, something like that. And so I guess the beginning is just trying to get the gist of like what kind of style I'm going for, and using all these references. And then I just started drawing it, or like drawing the art assets, like the trees and the bushes, rocks, in the style that I wanted it. So just coming up, or like just sketching it in the way I want it. And like you see in the video, like you see me just like drawing a lot and then like erasing or like adjusting things. It's just a lot of that, just like drawing and erasing to see like what looks good. And after I like get a nice like silhouette, or like the way it's drawn, then I just start like coloring it. And for the character, I was thinking, oh, I need to make multiple versions, because I can't just make one design and then go with it, because I know it's not going to be the best design. So I started making multiple designs, and then chose the one that like looks the most I guess, yeah, like appealing, or like the most like pretty one. And I also like asked for like feedback from like friends, like, oh, which one do you prefer, which design looks nice? Because I can't I mean, I can trust my judgment, but at the same time, it's important to also like ask for feedback to see what other people think too. Because like for most of the time, other people like their opinions when they see it is what like the audience would think. So I'm like, okay, I can't make it like basic, so make it a little bit more interesting. Initially, I had the character wear just like a backpack, a shirt, and like shorts, and I was like, yeah, I don't know about this. This looks a bit too simple, and like not iconic, I guess, or unique looking. And then specifically for the like background environment, like the assets, so like the bushes and trees and whatnot, before I could color those, I had to find out what the background would look like, the whole like setting. So like the setting that I went for was like sunset, sort of, in the like I guess the first act. And you know, I know that we spoke and had the idea like, oh, it would get darker as you walk into the forest. So I needed it to be like sunset, and then the next one would be like, you know, dark dusk or like purples, you know, because it's getting dark. So I had to design what the color scheme was first for like the sunset, and then I would check the colors for the bushes and the rocks and trees, because if I just like do it from my head and I don't like compare it, the colors might, you know, make the bushes and rocks like disappear, or they might make them pop out too much. Like there needs to be I guess like a color or like a uniform color, I guess, or uniform like color scheme, I guess, yeah, for all the art assets. And then the same goes for like the nighttime, where it's like, oh, dark and purple, so I needed to adjust all the like bushes and trees and their colors to that scene. So it was a lot of like trial and error and adjusting like the hue slider and whatnot, and then painting over it with the shadows.
We decided to skip over doing animations, and instead use an old Paper Mario style prototype I made a while ago as a starting point. From this, we just needed to add 2 characters, a way to swap between them, and JP's amazing art.
When thinking about like making art for a game, it's like, oh, can you make it, you know, pixel art, or can you make it illustrative, or can you make it like 3D? Just thinking about like the different ways that you can approach it, it's, I don't know, it's like you have to narrow it down, but then also think like, oh, which is gonna take the least amount of time, but like still, you know, like comprehensible, or like okay to look at, and won't take too much time from like the artist.
While JP was working on the art, I was supposed to be working on level design. Though admittedly I ran into a writer's block here, and instead spent most of the time working on cool post-processing effects. Now doesn't that look cool? Who needs levels or gameplay? Okay, I will admit that there really isn't much gameplay in the final product. There's only 4 loops and no challenges in any loop. If I would have one takeaway, it's that I really need to practice with level design. And if I could go back and do one thing differently, it would be spend more time on making some actual gameplay.
Yeah, there was just a lot of things with like character design that I wanted to work on. Also just like making more environment pieces, and like even working more on like the background. I guess I wanted to work on everything more.
With everything ready, we bundled it all together and posted the game with just a few hours left. You can find a link to the game in the description. It's playable in a web browser and shouldn't take you more than 5 minutes to finish it. And I think the reviews really sum it up. Great artwork, almost no gameplay. Again, big thanks to JP for being willing to work on this last minute with me. You can find more of his stuff through the links in the description. In fact, while you're down there, just click all the links. Just click everything. The like button, the subscribe button, the comment button, and all the YouTube buttons. So hopefully I'll see you next time. And as always, don't stop creating. Hey, if you liked the game, JP and I are planning on spending the next month polishing up the game. If you didn't like it, we're still doing that anyway. So expect a video about that sometime between a week and 6 months after it releases. YouTube is hard.